Well, the economic cost of the Twitter suspension in Nigeria is still being calculated, but some estimates put it as high as $6 million a day. Now, the platform is essential for business marketing, customer service, and remote work. The suspension, even if brief, could harm Nigeria's long-term ability to attract investment in the digital economy. Experts say the shutdown can lead to a slowdown in commerce, a cut to productivity, and ultimately cost jobs. VPNs, that's virtual private networks, can be used for those determined to still access the site. But many of those slow down internet access, and the free versions can expose users to data theft, costing a lot of money in the long run.
Well, we'll bring in Paul Alejo. He is a senior economist with SPM Professionals. Glad to have you join us on News Now, Paul.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Let me start from the slowdown in commerce. What's your sense of it, especially when we think about what has happened to Zoom? I mean, nobody knew about Zoom before it came on board, and people have resorted to using Zoom to do business, and then you have Insta there. What's your sense of that?
We'll start by saying that the potentials for making money in Nigeria on Twitter is so high. And beyond potentials, I can tell you that some of the persons in APC as well as PDP had engaged some people called Twitter influencers during elections, either states or at either the state level or federal level. The truth is that a lot of Nigerian youths make a lot of money online, particularly on Twitter, because Twitter is that platform that forces you to share information, and people tend to trust sources from Twitter because it verifies some of the handles. You saw that Twitter became so important at a time that it even removed the handle or suspended the handle of the President of America because of the influence. And when you look at the market share of Twitter and also its capitalization in the US, you consider the profits the company makes, you know that its profit last year is equivalent of 24 state IGR in Nigeria. That's your state company. So you don't want to joke with a company like that. So I also have personal concerns when the tweet of Mr. President was deleted. I was hoping that some of the persons who should do PR for the president should have also reported against some of the tweets that might have necessitated the president's tweet. But I did not see that. I was watching because I knew something would happen on Wednesday, Thursday, when some Nigerians on Twitter were reporting the tweet of Mr. President, and Twitter is bound because of the policy made to take down such tweets, particularly when reporting the handle and the tweet comes over and over and over again. It's a rule that is set aside. But I was expecting that Mr. President and the team, maybe not President in person, but the team would have reported some of the tweets, have overwhelming reports. Now, when you say that let us stop using Twitter, potential income is gone in sales, in advertising, and also revenue for those that are, say, Twitter lords or people we call influencers.
Paul, let me come in very quickly. Definitely. I mean, and the numbers are quite staggering when you hear that about $7 billion, if I'm not mistaken, may have been lost in just a matter of 3 days. I agree with that. 40 million Nigerians actually use Twitter out of the 200 or so million Nigerians. And the 1.2 billion loss for SMEs, MSMEs, and all of that. Do you think government was thorough in looking at the consequences before coming down with this ban?
I think we should first look at the recent bank wars. Recent bank war did not happen on Facebook. It wasn't on Instagram. Major banks in Nigeria, top 5 banks had wars, 2019, 2020, and later 2021. And all the bank wars eventually made the banks more popular, and they paid so much for their ad on Twitter. And you can talk to media buyers. This organization must be dealing with one media buyer or the other, either locally or abroad. And what take significant proportion from buying agency, and I'm talking of media buying, media planners, and media buying agency, particularly when it comes to social media, is to push such hard on Twitter. Now, to say whether government are thought it through, maybe government has given enough thought, government have said, listen, we're not looking at business as a consideration. We're looking at security as a consideration. But this is what we should understand.
I was gonna come to that.
This is what we should understand. There is no security without economy. The same way you cannot have economy without security. These are twins that you cannot separate.
Not just twins, Siamese twins.
Siamese twins that you
Paul,
cannot separate.
Let me come in just because of the issue you have raised. We just watched a report there where the Minister of Foreign Affairs was speaking. Nigeria's foreign minister had to invite the ambassadors of UK, US, EU, Ireland because of their comments concerning the ban by the federal government of Twitter to parley with them, and he says the discussions were fruitful. I mean, we had one of the foreign ambassadors there say, yes, Nigeria has a right to defend itself. You know, Onyama says on the consideration, they will unban it on certain considerations. If Twitter or social media obeys the rules against trying to destabilize a nation. What's your take on that? Because I mean, that's what the government is saying.
Well, first of all,
because let me just add, just immediately after the president's Twitter was removed, I think I read somewhere Nnamdi Kanu's Twitter was, because that's been one of the points that the government is raising all the time of answers, and Nnamdi Kanu was tweeting, and Twitter didn't bother.
Okay, because nobody reported Nnamdi Kanu's Twitter handle. I logged into Twitter and I saw legions of people, Nigeria, reporting that you cannot threaten us. In fact, there was an hashtag that trended for more than 24 hours. And I was of the opinion, I was hoping that someone in government would say, these young boys, because when you look at the demography of Twitter, over 50% between age 15 to 35. If you look at Nigerian demography, almost the same thing. This is where you find these young people, and you're going to see more of them. Some of them will still remain on Twitter. You know why? National Bureau of Statistics says 33.3% are jobless, no jobs, and 33.3% is not of the population. 33.3% is less than 90 million of labor force. Audit there, you have over about 118 million Nigerians that have nothing to do. They are either too old, they are in school, they are not supposed to work. But you have 90 million people to be charitable. That's on one hand. 33.3%, which is 30 million, we now had to 118 million people. Then you have 148 million people. Give that second equation. The last one, which is very important, that even those that have job, about 20 million of them, 20 million of them are underemployed. So when you consider the situation people are going through in Nigeria, people seem to vent their anger where on Twitter, because it is short, it's concise, and you are sure that people will read it. And it's not just Nigeria, Paul, that have been speaking about this. Even
I don't know what I was
thank
talking
you
about
so
to Paul,
much.
because I was going to say,
I'm hoping that something good can actually come out of this, because the president has given the directive to fast-track licensing of OTTs for Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us.